Hi, I am Don.
And I am Bo.
Neither of us are dead.
Neither of us are dead, but what we're doing right now, don't do this. Stay at home, play video games.
We need a yardstick.
This is very irresponsible of us.
One good thing about this, that we were talking earlier about, like this objectively terrible thing.
Yes.
Like, there's a silver lining here. I get to carry a yardstick around with me and say, hey, make room for Jesus.
I am just waiting to hear that my work's shutting down, which there's rumors, but we don't know.
I am classified as an essential worker. My paycheck doesn't signify that, but
Actually, on
oh God, retail workers.
On a serious
Props.
note, if you are, for those of you that say that retail workers, fast food workers and stuff don't deserve $15 an hour, and you're listening to our show, fuck you and go listen to
they're
our
on the
show.
they're on the front fucking line.
They are literally on the front line. I just went to Walmart today. They're dealing
Support
with
our
a lot of shit. When this viral outbreak happens, they're going to be one of the first ones hit. These retail workers and everything, so they're taking an extreme risk, as well as doctors and nurses. So soldiers, get in line behind these people. These are the heroes right now.
I want to see like that one Tim Allen like show like where like a guy comes in straight from the IGA and some other guy will stand up and salute, and there'll be like a solid. This is a comedy show. Why are you having this weird?
Oh,
moment?
are you talking about
Last Man Standing?
Oh, it's awful.
It's
awful.
Like, there's a reason the Al Borland Corporation shut it down.
He was
ABC.
I don't think so, too. No. Oh my God, he should do a guest spot on the show as like a bleeding heart liberal,
and by bleeding heart, I mean just like
a reasonable.
Just like some guy walks in, like, okay, I'm not social distancing, I think.
Oh, and I've gotten used to not using my hands to do things.
Oh, I need to get them amputated just to have claws. You're not going to touch your face with claws.
Anyway, during this viral outbreak, we are going to be talking about. Oh my God, we should have waited till now to do tomorrow one because of the corpus.
Oh yeah, the corpus.
We didn't even talk about that.
We didn't really.
A special podcast on the corpus and how it affected Vardenfell next time. But for now, we are still talking about
Xenogears.
And where last we left off.
Yeah, we had just fended off an attack by Shavat. Choo-Choo grew to the size of a giant monster and beat the shit out of...
And was definitely ready to rumble.
She was ready to rumble, you bad boy.
It's important to laugh right now.
Yeah, some big guy in a robot suit who was literally a robot, brainwashed into racist ideology, talking about IQs, gets punished by this little Furby.
I think Adam has his heat on, and it's like 70 degrees outside.
It's pretty warm out.
Yeah, it is hotter than hell in here. Yeah.
Anyway, the Solarian attack on Shavat was repulsed, and now we have taken down all their gates except for one, which is on their floating city called Etrinak. But it's weak enough that we can get Sebzen in. Okay. So that is what everyone is doing. Seitan has everyone gathered to enact this plan of just putting the entire party on Sebzen to break through the barrier and infiltrate this floating capital of Solaris. And the game is very, very upfront. This is the point of no return for the first part of the disc.
Oh, right.
Once you start this, you can't go world map hunting for secrets or whatever anymore.
Until much
and there's
later.
Spoilers, there's no guarantee that the world is going to be the same as it was after the event.
So if you've got Kislev arena fighting to do, take care of it.
You can actually go back to the arena now. Apparently they just forgave you for Grand Theft WMD.
No, you could literally go in there and just like it's no Rico. You got a Rico fight.
Oh yeah.
I think. I don't
know. Maria is piloting Sebzen from its shoulder, which I don't know.
She's been doing that.
She's doing it. Right. She's good at it apparently. And Sebzen is just holding the entire party in his big metal mitts, like open palm.
And they're flying.
Just flying through the air towards to attack Sky Nazi capital.
Every time I think of that in like Gundam or anything, anytime they're on one of these while they're flying, it's like, could you fucking imagine?
You'd feel really badass, but anus would be clenched.
Oh my God, dude, your face would be like pulled off your skull. Like that's what I think about.
Oh, if I hope that there's a scene of that in a movie at some point, like a live action movie. So it's jetting across the sky, and Maria is really, really pumped. She just found out her dad is alive, and was subsumed by Fox News, and then killed himself via her. She's in a dark place, and she's apparently been hanging out on Twitter a little bit too much.
Oh no!
Yeah, she's getting a little bit edgy. Her exact quote is, "Sebs in an eye shall be the dark wings which carry you all to your deaths."
Oh, good
Oh
Lord.
yeah. Oh,
Crawling in.
yeah. You paid for 2 discs, but all you need is the edge.
We've said that so much. Yeah. This is like Chris Angel level edgy.
All you need is the edge. So this plan works. You break through the barrier and you make landfall in this big floating city. And the party is like reconnoitering, and it turns out okay, we need to form small groups to avoid detection. Especially since most of the party will stick out quite a bit, except for Ellie, who is in literal uniform still.
Right.
But she has that auburn hair that nobody else has, so even her. Hammer says apparently they brought Hammer.
Hammer gets to be a really interesting character.
Yeah, he's like, okay, he says, "Don't worry, I'm good at gathering info." Rico says, "You just like to watch others' misery." I don't understand exactly where that came from. I think there's cut dialogue from development, because like they're friends and like, hey, that's kind of harsh. And he also says you'll just get in the way. Now, admittedly, Rico and Hammer are probably the least fit for espionage.
Oh, absolutely.
In
They're,
Solaris.
metahuman. Yeah.
Citan, Ellie, and Remark and Faye go on their great quest to gather information. Faye is wondering why they're upside down. Because when you're first playing, you're upside down. It's really disorienting.
Yeah.
And Ellie explains...
And the controls are reversed, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's very disorienting.
It's weird. Ellie explains that Solaris maintains opposite gravity. Also opposite morality, but mostly opposite gravity.
Gravity has several meanings here.
Faye starts taking an interest in all the stash technology at a depot that the Ethos has been distributing to land dwellers. So there's like a bunch of iPods and gears and shit, like,
Right,
this is where all the technology gets distributed to wow the masses on the ground.
Oh yeah, it's like it doesn't the game make it pretty clear that like they like stutter it.
Yeah,
like to make sure like kind of like what
it's like Goodwill.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you can get a good TV, Goodwill. It's like 20 years old, but hell, it works.
I was really into hair bands when I was in high school, like hair metal bands. So I always went to Goodwill to buy my T-shirts because they had the bands that I was listening to.
You just got it's always 20 years behind the time,
so it was like 2003,
works.
and I was buying like Poison shirts and stuff.
And then Faye comes across this weird tube. And unlike Chewbacca, he doesn't have any, like, I don't care what you smell, get in there. Right. He just jumps right into this tube.
Yeah.
And Ellie and Citan are, like, really freaked out. Like, okay, you just jumped into a vacuum tube, and we don't know where you went.
Right.
Faye gets sent to a literal honeycomb hive.
Has it been made clear why Citan knows everything he does?
It's going to, I think, in this episode, or not, if not the next,
okay.
but he will eventually lay it all out there.
Yeah,
because out of necessity,
not out of the goodness of his heart at all.
So Faye is now inside the city in a honeycomb little hive, and there's some liberal talking about how working like machines day after day is poisoning the soul and ultimately damning our ability to grow intellectually, technologically, and artistically. A robot shows up, picks him up, and throws him into a pit. Now, given that we've established that we are upside down, he is technically falling up.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he's just going to be like shot into space.
It's like that out of nowhere in the middle of this game, just to show how bad Solaris is. There's a guy that's like, I think that all this industrialization might be detrimental to whoop, and there's a robot literally designed to kill anyone that complains about their job. Oh man.
Yeah. That's how Klobuchar ended her primary round too. She got shot into space by a little robot. Andrew Yang got his revenge finally. Okay, meanwhile, there are a bunch of other NPCs explaining to Faye that malcontents like that are the reason we have it so bad.
You know,
If you just put your faith in the employer,
Dude,
the job creators.
I have that conversation at work every fucking day, dude. It's terrible.
Now, admittedly, the French Revolution, the French resistance during World War II, they probably didn't just like get up on rooftops and shout that the Nazi occupation is bullshit. They like meet in dive bars and grumble,
Right.
which is probably the smarter way to organize. But props to the guy. I mean, he set an amazing exposition. I mean, if you set like.
And what better way to give your life in this story?
I mean, we laugh about it, but if you set like a movie in French resistance times and the resistance were doing what the resistance actually did, which is, hide, a bunch of people would probably I don't know why everyone's so mad. The Nazis are keeping the streets clean. There's no Jews. No communists. They're all gone. All the socialists are in the dive bars grumbling.
Yeah, and don't forget that Trump is trying to give you a socialism check right now. So
Yeah, one time.
if you're a real American, do not cash it if it comes to that.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's socialism.
It is. He's also open to the concept of nationalization. He doesn't understand what. Well,
he doesn't know.
He doesn't know what that means. Like he will I could if you put him in a room with Bernie Sanders, we could have the Soviet Union by the end of the week. The problem is Ben Shapiro. No, not Ben Shapiro. Steve Miller, the guy with the forehead. The guy who looks 80 and is our age, he will come in and we will make sure that we have some other form of socialism, like a national kind or something.
Oh man,
bad
we've
times.
been inside too fucking long.
Bad
people.
times. Yeah, we've been self-isolating for too long. Anyway. Okay, so we are in this. All right, so we've established that we're in a bad society, basically. Exposition. This place is bad.
Yes.
In case you didn't put it together,
Yeah.
Solaris is bad news. Faye has wound up in the level 3 citizens' quarter of the city. This is where enslaved land dwellers wind up. And then something really weird happens. Well, weirder than falling up through a upside down floating city. He runs into Timothy from the beginning. Only it's not Timothy. It's just Timothy's character model with brown hair.
Right, but it's recognized as
Yeah.
Timothy.
Faye specifically says, Timothy? And he says, oh, no, I'm actually Samson.
I like that it's.
Oh, no, I'm not Timothy.
I'm not Timothy.
I get that all the time.
I'm not that guy.
I've got that kind of face.
The dialogue in this game is
just
magnific.
It really is.
I do the mwah thing that you're not supposed to touch your face right now.
You know, maybe you remember me from the tournament in Ave way back when. I was there. You didn't see me? That kid wailed on you and then gave you a dress and you put it on.
Best damn show I ever seen.
Yeah. Anyway, I passed out on the way home and woke up here. Okay. That's hard drugs. Yeah, that's drugs for you. It's like you take the hard drugs from around Southern Indiana, and it's like the ocarina from Ocarina of Time, only it teleports you to a hospital.
What was maybe that's what Solaris did. They distributed these actually I think that's actually what they actually did to get these slaves. Is it they distribute these knockout drugs?
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'll accept that. Anyway, so now you're in the middle of an authoritarian prison complex. Samson here was good friends with that cliff diving agitator. And he says, a lot of land dwellers around here get brainwashed. They just watch Fox News all day and think, well, I do have a refrigerator.
at least we're in the sky now.
Yeah, we are. I mean, can't argue with that. But he has apparently the brainwashing didn't work with him. He still has most of his memory. And he's got a pass to work in a naval port, so he's got a plan to steal a ship and escape. But he also says, hey, watch out for that female Gebler. She just went by. And then Faye's like, did she have auburn hair by any chance? Yeah, she's like the only person with that hair color I've ever seen. Oh, she's a friend. She's okay. So Faye looks around for a little bit, and yeah, Ellie is literally in this place, and she berates Faye for just skydiving into random tunnels. And then but then Faye is like, I was supposed to infiltrate the city. I'm in the city. Like, fight me.
I mean, he did the right thing. He did the right thing.
Yeah. And Ellie gives some exposition. We are in Solaris's third-class F block. There's around 20 blocks with land dwellers living in them. We Solarians are privy to all personal info. Everyone's DNA structure is inscribed on a molecular level. Even their class. You know what these citizens are called? Worker bees. Oh, wow. San Francisco got bad. Google finally got their wish. These people provide manual labor to support Solaris' core. I took a field trip here once long ago.
Oh my god!
So there's like school kids from the upper class going to visit Detroit and talk about, now this is why you vote Republican, kids. To keep it like this.
And very smugly saying, bet you want to go to college now, don't you, little Timmy? Oh my god!
Or that one of those episodes of King of the Hill where like Hank takes Bobby to visit like examples and stuff like that.
Yeah,
then, like,
yeah.
He comes across the mentally ill guy like, hey, things have been really rough for me since Ronald Reagan shut down my mental hospital. Yeah, well, he had to fight the Soviet Union. Anyway, it turns out Seitan took a different tube looking for Faye, but so he's off God knows where doing God knows what, and that's terrifying because Seitan gets
when he leaves,
he gets up to some shit when he's not being watched. Ellie says not to worry about him. Yeah, I don't worry about Seitan, Ellie. I worry about everyone else. He knows the city better than she does. Faye asks about Bart. What are the other party members are doing, and she says, well, they're with Jesse, so they're probably fine too. That's good.
If I had to go to Solaris, I'd want to be in Jesse's group.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, that guy got shot out of a fucking mech gun and is fine.
It just didn't count. So they group up with Samson to enact his escape plan, and he comes up to this gate, and Ellie yells at Samson, dude, don't go through that gate. You're a slave. You can't. This gate won't let you through. It'll scan your DNA and it'll know you're a liberal. And he says, "No, it's okay. I got a fake ID."
Wait, Samson, don't. You voted for Walter Mondale. Don't go through there.
It's your fake ID says Muhammad. Muhammad is like the most common name out there.
Oh man, it is weird to think that is a classic reference now.
Yeah,
it is weird to think it's been that movie's that old.
Yeah, what name did he actually go with? Not Muhammad.
Oh,
McLovin.
McLovin, yeah.
It's not even his last name; it just says McLovin.
But yeah, it is so weird to think that movie's so old that like there's conceivably children that will be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, it's like on AMC now,
right?
In black and white. I am McLovin. You're gonna watch it, and they'll have like the silent movies where like I am McLovin is in quotes on like a separate title screen.
I just remember that was back when you saw Seth Rogen. You're like, man, this guy's hilarious. And now when you see him, you're like, oh, let me guess, he's the stoner character, isn't he? Oh, yeah, just made a weed joke.
Yeah. Okay. So Samson walks through the gate, immediately gets vaporized. So this is the second time Faye has had to watch Timothy's character model die. Faye responds by punching the gate, and Ellie says, no, I've got another maybe kind of idea. She walks through, and it lets her through. Because she has a first-class citizen ID, or a military ID. And apparently, as long as someone with that ID is walking through, the gate will let someone else, like, piggyback on them. That's how Faye gets through.
Wish they would have thought to just run alongside Samson. He'd be alive.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. But Ellie is actually kind of surprised that it worked, which is a hell of a thing to say after walking through that.
Oh,
She says,
right.
I just kind of expected they labeled me a traitor or something. Faye wonders if maybe they just don't want to admit failure, which is actually a good point.
That
but
is based on Solaire. Like, no, Ellie's on her way back.
yeah,
She's on her way back.
Ellie's not really convinced though. She's really conflicted, which I understand.
She's an excellent. Ellie's one of the best characters in the game. Honestly.
Yeah, this is a big moment for her. Ellie comes across some guards, but she says, "Oh, this is Faye. He's with the he's a conscripted surface dweller, and he's going to join the special forces. He's like Ramses, or not Ramses. But he's like the Ramses girls."
What are they called?
Yeah, I'm taking them to the elements. The
Yes.
elements. Yeah,
Yes.
all of them land dwellers. All of them recruited, rising up through the ranks. Also, if he had been alive for Vietnam, it would have gone down differently. He's in the special forces. You don't want to bother him. Yeah, he's an operator. He did 90 tours in Iraq. Oh, where were you stationed? I'm not at liberty to say.
I tell you, but I'd have to kill you. You know what I'm saying, brother?
I mean, you've got a really long beard, and I mean, usually they don't let you have beards. Well, I'm an operator. They let me do whatever I want.
That is so classic. Yeah.
So Solaris proper is when you actually get to like the real city that's meant to be lived in. It looks like pretty standard 80s sci-fi place. There's holographic girls in bikinis. There's like Star Wars movie music. There's advertising. There's some guy with a dating service saying, "I will get a girl into your apartment with compatible DNA in 2 weeks." It's how we grow. It's how we grow as a species.
Can't afford to say no.
Yeah, this is where all the citizens are talking about how bad Detroit is on the surface.
Oh,
and
yeah.
how the land dwellers in like the Palestinian territories just love living in filth as we bomb them. I don't know why they keep living there. I mean, they're literally walled in. There's nowhere for them to go. But I can't imagine. Their ways are inscrutable to us real people. So,
oh my God!
in order to progress, you need VIP tickets for a big ceremony where the emperor himself is going to speak, but they are sold out. So you start looking around for a scalper by barging into people's homes and asking them if they have tickets.
No, that's Midwest as hell.
Yeah, you need tickets. Big Joe is here. He apparently maintains.
Of course
he maintains an apartment, but he is too busy. He's dancing. He's too busy dancing. He can't explain himself right now.
I would explain myself, but first I must express myself.
Yes. Also, there's some lady who explains that these save cubes that you've been using throughout the entire game are literally things. They're like physical things.
I forgot about that. Yeah, the save points are actually in the story. It's like some sort of memory receptive.
Yeah. And they send data to Solaris' Central Control Bureau.
So Solaris knows everything you've done.
So it's like Facebook. It's like you save your progress on Facebook, and everyone knows, especially the government.
Adam, do you have a beer?
And yeah, eventually you come across a woman who has like strained her back. She threw her back out doing something.
Oh God!
And apparently that's the one thing they can't actually cure in this magical world. She gives her tickets.
Lumbago's acting.
Yeah. She gives her tickets to you so you young kids can watch the Emperor and get all patriotic.
Oh yeah, that's very
yeah. And the Solarian Air Force is here, and they're putting on that big.
Are they gonna do the Blue Angel flyer?
Yeah.
Thank you.
They got those big.
Oh, that's mine. Yeah.
They got those big battleships putting up, like firing off their cannons for the fireworks show. Unfortunately, Irving from Resident Evil 5 isn't here to like ham it up. Like, you juice guys, it's just in time for the fireworks show. Boom! You'll just want to excel as playthings.
We should do a podcast on Resident Evil 5 just because it's like
just
one of the most maligned
completely
games ever.
In character and like as Wesker and Irving.
Revengeance is a must-do here soon as
yes.
well.
As soon as we're done, yeah, we might take a break from Xenogears after disc one.
Do Revengeance.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so the Emperor himself shows up to address the faithful and prove that he's still alive. After
on
literally
his golden throne.
Yeah, after literally 10,000 years, the entirety of life on this planet.
And his name's Kane. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
his name is Kane.
I
Emperor
just
Kane.
Got that.
Yeah. He says,
Wow, that's really on the nose.
we, the gazelle, chosen by God, will return to paradise and the sleeping mother to live eternally. We have opened the door to Mahan, or Mahan. The place where God rests, the source of wisdom and power. The surface dwellers will no doubt use this opportunity to seize its power, but don't be concerned. As long as Solaris has this power, let's show those stupid beasts the power of Solaris. And the battleships fire off their volleys. The crowd's going wild, and Ellie is spacing out. Like all this talk about Mahan and God, it's got her thinking. And Faye's like, hey, what's wrong? Oh, I don't know. I'm just spacing. I don't know. It's nothing. It's totally nothing. And then Faye starts spacing out.
You feel it? You feel it?
Yeah. Krellian shows up, and Ellie says, oh, yeah, that's the real guy. Like that's Mitch McConnell. He's the guy who really runs things.
Oh, now I'm thinking of Krellian with that awful Mitch McConnell accent.
Yeah. Flashback to
Turkey neck.
flashback, and Krellian has blue hair, and he's talking to Faye, but his name is Lacan. You're having like weird flashbacks as Faye.
Oh yeah.
And they're obviously friends. They're just shooting the shit. Like, hey, Lacan, Sophia told me you went to go get paints. That's pretty cool. We should hang out. Yeah, Solaris is making things difficult for us nowadays, but I'll leave someone else in command of my unit. Okay, I mean, I guess, okay, so this is 500 years ago, and Lacan just happens to look exactly like Faye, and Krellian looks exactly like Krellian, except with dyed hair, whatever. Later, within the same flashback, Lacan asks Krellian how things are going with his studies under Melchior.
One of the three wise.
Yes. Lacan starts joshing on Krellian being a nerd. But man, you've got a passion. I don't have. I mean, I'm just an artist. But then Krellian's like, no, Lacan, you're a great artist. And then Krellian shows Lacan this big test tube with green stuff inside it, and says it's finally complete. It's going to save lots of lives. Perhaps even Sophia can use this to ellipsis. Back to present. Ellie snaps Faye out of his episode. And Faye says, I know that guy. How would you know him? I just know him. I know him from somewhere. And he asks Ellie to translate what Krellian is saying because he doesn't speak the Solarian language.
Right.
Krellian says that the gates on the surface were allowed to be destroyed. This is a trap. The foolish beasts are defiling our holy land. The Emperor's throne has been polluted, but we cannot rest yet. Those imbeciles have been caught and shackled like the dogs they are. So Faye freaks out because he immediately, so Bart and company have been captured. Ellie explains, here's what's going to happen. They're going to be disposed of in something called the Soylent System to revive the Gazelle Ministry.
I forgot it was that on the nose, yeah.
Faye asks what the hell Ellie is talking about, and she says, Gazelle are pure-breed Solaris people. It means first-class citizens. In this case, it probably means literally the Gazelle Ministry, the people who lost their bodies in order to protect the Solarian people way back when. I don't know much else. It's probably a cover for some kind of nefarious experiment, knowing my country. So Faye is ready to kick some ass, but Ellie's like, dude, we're in the middle of a Trump rally right now. Calm your tits. But look, just think about this. Seitan has not been captured. We know this. And he's probably aware of the situation. He'll figure out a way to fix this. And Faye is like, Seitan will probably fix this. And then he has memories of Seitan fixing things throughout the entire game. And he starts yelling again. So now the guards suddenly realize that Faye is obviously a land dweller. They go after him.
Because only a land dweller would scream out and
yeah. Ellie and Faye manage to run, and they escape to Ellie's childhood home, where they meet Ellie's mother, Medina. Now, Medina's name is never actually mentioned in dialogue. It's just said like Ellie's mother, Medina.
Yep.
She is very glad to see her daughter alive, seeing as she was declared MIA. and her dad will be home soon. And hey, you brought a friend home who is obviously a land dweller. And Ellie says, "Oh yeah, he's in the special forces. He'd punch a college professor.
He's an operator.
Yeah, he's an operator, classified.
That's why he has that long beard.
Yeah. So Faye remarks that this palatial estate is even bigger than the village chief's hut, letting out his inner hick. And Ellie
I
insists...
think that's like one of the first times in the game he actually does that, too.
Yeah, like, hey,
whoa, daggum! Look at these fancy digs here.
Yeah, this place even has indoor plumbing.
Hey, back home, the guy that actually had the job at the coal mine, he couldn't even afford a place like this.
Oh, wow. So, Ellie is insisting on taking a shower.
I remember. Yeah, because you have that scene. Yeah.
It's right, and it's a clear tube in the middle of her room. And Faye is like mystified, like, wow, you have like a literal shower? I just had like a bathtub at Sighton's that I'd use occasionally.
Had to climb the mountain. Hell, by the time you got back down, you needed another one.
So while Ellie is showering, Faye is like awkwardly trying to lock his eyes away from her.
Yeah, it's like she let him into the room, and then he's going to have to fumble awkwardly, which not saying he had a right to look because she was invited in the room. I'm just saying, like, damn, chick, let him sit outside or something.
Yeah, and like she insists on carrying on a conversation throughout.
Right,
it's like,
and she's making it awkward for him. Not saying she's invited him to look, but she's made it awkward for him.
And then she like gets out and says, "You need to go in there now." Because you've been through some shit this game. You need a shower.
This is the first shower Faye has canonically ever taken.
Since he almost drowned, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then Ellie points out that she doesn't look... And then Faye makes kind of like a faux pas and says, your mom's really pretty. You don't look a thing like her. And then Ellie says, I don't look anything like any Solarian, actually. For good reason. A long time ago, when I was small, I had a nanny. She was nice to me. She was a land dweller. First-class citizens rarely associate with them, but my nanny lived in our house and took care of me. She lost her child when she was in the third-class area. My dad felt sorry for her and kept her under protection. He never told anyone about her. Okay, so in the middle of all this, Ellie demands that Faye take a shower, and while he is like, don't watch, she is like right up next to the glass.
I remember, yeah.
Like adjusting the temperature, quote unquote. Which is weird because the controls for the temperature are outside the glass.
This was designed with very nefarious purposes, I feel.
Yeah, and like Faye is like really embarrassed and she's just giggling. And then
it's so cruel.
Yeah, and then like after you're done, like he says, "Okay, I admit that was pretty badass." And Ellie decides, "Okay, let's go tinker with my dad's computer, see if there's any information on where our friends are." Her mom comes in and says, "Look, Dad was really mad last time he got on the computer and messed with his Blizzard account."
Did you do? No, the old Midwestern dad thing. You put games on this computer. That's how you get viruses. You put games on the damn computer. Dude, I'll never forget that shit. Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, Ellie's mom is going to get some groceries because she brought her boy home. And Dad's going to be home soon, so don't touch his computer. Naturally, the minute she leaves, Ellie goes right back to Dad's computer. And another maid who does not have auburn hair, it's some other third-class maid, she gives Ellie a psycho rod, which is apparently a gift from her dad. Really thoughtful, considering she had that she has PTSD from the last time she had a psychotic episode and killed a bunch of people.
Right.
Like, just thought of you when I saw this at Walmart. Psycho rod.
Psycho. Every time I hear psycho anything, I just think of M. Bison.
Yeah. So, you hack into your dad's emails, find out what the rest of the party is and how to get there. And then Dad walks in.
Oh, damn it, every time.
And he is like the perfect anime German guy. His name is Eric.
Oh, yep.
And he says, "Okay, Ellie, that's obviously a land dweller. And he's obviously not in the special forces. He's not an operator. I don't care what anyone says.
I don't see his beard. I can't see a beard."
Yeah. That means he has to be executed because he's outside where he needs to be. He's not like slaves belong there unless they're my nannies. In which case they belong in my bed.
Eric is one hell of a fella.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tell. Yeah. He's got a heart of gold once you get to know him. I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah. Anyway, Ellie gets into like that fight that every boy and girl pretty much, or those who lieth betwixt, everyone goes through it. Like eventually you have that fight where you assert your independence and like argue with your parents in a way that you will cringe about for the rest of your life.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, so Ellie's like, damn it, Dad, you never let me do anything. You won't let me bring slaves in. You were mad at me when I joined the Nazis. You were mad at me when I started punching the Nazis. And now you're mad.
And you don't have a leg to stand on, old man, because you brought slaves home all the time.
And you know what this is all about? It's because I'm half land dweller. And then
I said it. I said it.
You thought I didn't know?
Did she say that? Did
Yeah.
She yeah.
Yeah, I'm half land dweller. She says it in all caps, exclamation marks. Medina, her adoptive mother, is walking into the room as she screams it. There's an exclamation mark above her little sprite's head, and she runs away.
God, I forgot how that's just
Like that's actually a big drama bomb.
That's a very that's a juicy little piece of drama. Yeah.
Like it wasn't directed at her, but now she has
now.
Like it's obvious that not only does she know she's not really like you're
Biological mother.
That it like not only does she know, it's obviously weighing on her in some way, and she on some level she might not consider you her real mom.
Right.
And this causes Eric to slap her.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
Faye volunteers. Okay, this is getting really awkward for everyone. I'm just gonna leave. Ellie,
you know what? You guys got a lot going on here.
Ellie, why don't you just stay here? I mean, I'm the illegal one here. If I go back to Mexico, everyone will be okay. I'm sure. You'll stop being so racist. I'm sure. I'm sure everything will be okay.
And how did that go for our boy Faye?
Basically, I don't know. This game moves too fast.
The pacing's a little off.
Yeah,
yes.
So he says, okay. Eric says, no, you have to die. And then like he pulls out like a gun, I think, and then Faye is like, dude, the world is littered with the graves of people who pulled guns on me. Just let me leave.
Let me tell you something here, coaches. Last man that pulled a gun on me didn't last so good. Hell, I've been around a dude that shot a dude out of a gun.
As far like I'm sure a lot of people have had fantasies about doing this to like the dad of your girlfriend. Like,
yeah, dude.
Brother,
I remember I whooped his ass so bad.
Eric gets really, really angry, and then he looks away and says stoically, I guess he got away, as you're still in the room.
Because he's actually kind of big leaguing Faye with that, because he's kind of walking away being the bigger man.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of like, yeah, you know what? I can tell you needed this, man. You know what? I don't need it. I know who I am.
So Faye leaves Ellie with her parents, and he's unable to speak the local language. He does not have the gene codes to get past security. He doesn't know his way around. So pretty much immediately a guard comes up, captures him, and takes him to a secluded closet. Fortunately, this guard is in fact Satan.
Old Izuki's his last name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Satan did in fact realize that everybody but Faye and Ellie had been captured. He says it's probably for the best that Ellie stays with her parents. He tells Faye to stay close to him because he can keep the gene code sensors happy.
God, he is so weird about Ellie.
Yeah.
It's so weird about Ellie.
He's weird about a lot right now, actually. Faye is not a complete moron. He asks Satan, dude, Ellie just told me only VIPs can get around in here. How are you still able to make these cameras and gene code sensors happy? And Satan like flails around temporarily. Like,
old boy.
It's probably that my military ID is still active. The government,
because we know
is so inefficient.
We know at this point he's from Solaris.
Yeah,
we just don't
that
know
was
how
known.
From Solaris.
It was but supposedly it's old. Like he left a long time ago.
Yep, with Jesse and.
But he hasn't been branded a traitor.
Exactly.
They haven't gotten him out of their system. And he says, oh, well, that's probably just sloppy paperwork on their part. So, meanwhile, while Satan and Faye are off having their adventure. Ellie goes back. It cuts back to Ellie, and she's having a conversation with her parents. Her mother says, "Yeah, I know, you know, but I'm your mom. I don't care what anyone says. I still love you." And then her dad comes in and says, "Look, I don't really approve, but you need to forge your own path." Her mom says to honor your friends. And then Krellian Special Forces barge in, and they're here specifically to arrest Ellie. They don't care about Faye at all. Like Eric even says, "Don't worry. Hey, Faye is. You can catch him if you run now. Oh, we're not here for him. We're here for her." And when there's an anime mad scientist after your daughter, yeah, it's probably for the best that you've topped Eric's stance here. The guards are specifically here for her. They're saying if you're a patriot, you'll hand her over.
Do they say? Is that the line?
Yeah, pretty much.
I love it.
If you're a good citizen, you'll do it. Eric is threatened with losing his health insurance and being a slave. Ellie decides to do what Faye did. Like, okay, I'm the problem here.
Hey, you know what?
So if I go to Mexico, will they stop being racist? Will they be satisfied that the scapegoats are gone? And then she meets up with Citan and Faye and says, "Don't worry, I'm sure my dad's war record will protect
so
him."
they just let her go?
She escapes, I think.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, hey, you know what? I'm the problem. They're like, you know what? Yeah, but I guess you got away.
Yeah, like meanwhile, Eric is like being like interrogated, like, "Hey, I have an impeccable war record. Like, I like people who weren't captured." So things are going swimmingly for him, I'm sure. Ellie is really confused as to why the Gazelle Ministry want her. Citan says, quite literally, "You will see." You will see. You will see. Citan, you're really
a dickhead.
He's really ramping it up in this episode.
Oh man.
Citan leads the party down a garbage chute, and they like fall down on the ground. Like Faye says, "It hurts, damn it."
He just fed the fuck up.
Yeah. And then they come across a recycling center. Seems pretty innocuous. And hey, this recycling center has a big crate of food. Bunch of food. Faye is hungry. He's an anime protagonist. Of course he's hungry.
Oh god, the moment.
The moment. This is the one
moment. This is the part everyone remembers for this game.
This is the part I remembered and got obsessed with the game again because I like, hey, I when I first saw Cody play through this part, I was like, okay, that's kind of funny. And then like it dawned on me in college, dude.
This is why Citan Izuki is such a very special character.
Yeah.
So
Faye is hungry.
eats this food.
And Ellie is also like, hey, I'm not real. I could eat, and it's important to eat.
Important to note, this next part, they're like, Citan, you hungry, bro?
Dude, we don't know when the next time we're gonna come across for. They politely say, Citan, you should really eat too. But his character sprite slowly shakes his head. Slowly.
He's been watching them do this the whole time. This is all going to be revealed to be important here in a few seconds. And what does he say? He's like...
He says, "No, I'm fine. Thank you."
He says, "Thank you, the son of a bitch."
No, thank you. I appreciate the offer. I mean, it looks delicious. The scene ends when Faye declares, "Woo, I am full."
Implying he ate as much as he possibly
Yes.
could. Citan standing there the whole time with his eyes on it. Oh, this is a beautiful moment.
And immediately thereafter, they enter a facility where a bunch of mutants and humans are being ground up into particles and stuffed in Spam tins.
The Soylent system.
The Soylent system. And Citan says, "Just remember, guys, you ate that food." Ellie begins projectile vomiting.
Literally, they start retching, actually. The
Which
characters
she will continue to do while Citan begins to monologue.
That's the best part. Not only did he watch him do it, he's giving him a goddamn speech about it.
The organism experiment lab and its disposal facility in Solaris, and the production facility for food and medicine to maintain the limiter seal. Akavi's Wells Reapers were also made here. Ellie, do you remember Dominion's words during our infiltration of Shavat? Here is the answer. People of her native country served as one of the origins for Wells, the M plan. They were used that way because of their peculiar abilities. She is the last survivor. Ellie, your father, Eric, used to be the superintendent of this facility. He was involved in the research with Maria's father. So, yeah, the reason Ellie's dad keeps pet land dwellers and mistress land dwellers is because, like, he has to assuage his guilt from being part of the cannibalism system.
So by the way, Ellie is being told all this, and Titan's talking to her. He's not talking to
She's
Faye.
projectile vomiting while
She's projectile vomiting
and
while
her-
he's talking to her. And her and her best friend just ain't fucking people.
and she found out her dad is responsible for all this.
And Titan is just relishing in this
Yeah, he's
moment.
Like, he found a soapbox and now he's up on it talking.
And mind you, he didn't go like, "Hey man, hey, I wouldn't know." Like, "Hey,
Yeah.
through that, let's walk through that door. I'm gonna show you where this shit comes from." And the door was right there.
Yeah.
By the way, no, he just sat and watched them and let Faye eat until he was full. We don't know how long that took.
Yeah.
that might have been a half an hour meal.
Like, they may have, like, yeah.
Titan Izuki, ladies and gentlemen.
Saiton Azuki. Okay, so
Whew.
let's wrap this up with Saiton's musings. Let's wrap this up. Like, okay, Saiton, after all this reveal, his the two people he's with are projectile vomiting because they just committed cannibalism.
And the guy that knew they were doing it didn't do anything to stop them.
He says, wistfully looking off into the sunrise, "To end a person's life and then consume their flesh, is that permissible?" Questions for later. So,
I like that he muses philosophical on this.
is this permissible? Tomorrow on Crossfire. A liberal will say no. A rational conservative will, not saying I would do
I
it.
like that he doesn't mention like
But I don't think you
food
have-
shortages, or he doesn't mention any reason, like it's just the baseline of the. Hey, don't try to justify it. Just tell me, is it okay?
This is not a desert planet. There is a desert on it, but there's a lot of oceans. There's verdant. There's a continent missing, admittedly, but
They control all the resources.
they do. They could go, like, they live in a floating sky fortress.
They could just easily put cows in there.
Yeah. So
And
that,
the fact that wells are in there too. That's just
yeah,
Oh, that's
you're eating
magnificent.
mutants. So yeah, that is our introduction to Solaris. Tune in next time for happy fun times on Solaris once they're done projectile vomiting. And Saiton's having a good time. So I hope you are too. If you are in the middle of a quarantine, props. You're doing
you're doing
You're
the right
doing
thing.
good,
We're
yeah.
doing the wrong thing. You're doing the right thing.
yeah. Well, we're yeah.
But we're a good distance from
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
So if you can't wait to hear what else they learned about themselves through committing atrocities that Satan does nothing to stop them from, be sure to subscribe, click the bell, because that does something. The bell, I think, notifications.
Okay.
Yeah, the bell does notifications. Share us with your friends, because a whole lot of people have nothing better to do right now. So that's why we're here. And
because we don't have anything better to do.
because we don't have anything better to do. And but most of all, please stay safe out there. And if you have to go to Walmart, or wherever you're going, be nice to everyone working there, please.
Yeah, when I see a retail worker, I take my hat off. When a retail worker comes onto a plane, like, hey man, here, take my first class seat.
I really want to get like a shirt that has like a Walmart worker on it. It's like freedom is free. Or something.
Like, just make like the Toxic Avenger.
Those who serve deserve. That's right, soldiers. You're in line behind these people right now. Free pulled pork sandwich at Mission Barbecue for all retail work. Okay, we sound like we're being facetious, but no, thank you.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No, I'm just saying that because I did my tour at the IGA.
I did mine at fucking Big Lot. So we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully this will be stuff will start making more sense by then.
Yeah,
In Xenogears and in the real world.
it actually will. I promise.
In Xenogears, we can't promise about the real world.
I stopped. I gave up on the real
We'll
world.
know in the Xenogears universe whether or not it's right to end a life and consume its flesh. But in the other one, shit. See ya.
Let's go.